December 26, 2024, News Report 1. On December 26, 2024, it was reported that Ren Zeping, the chief economist at Zhongyuan Bank, was once again banned from speaking on social media after posting about the Will Tower self-blame invitation of Emperor Wu of Han on Weibo. The post has since been deleted, but some netizens saved screenshots. Ren Zeping referred to historical reflections by Emperor Wu, implicitly criticizing current economic challenges in China, such as the sluggish real estate market, tightening consumption, and rising unemployment. Some believe this was an indirect criticism of the current government. The historical Will Tower self-blame invitation took place in 89 BCE, when Emperor Wu, after years of war, faced a drastic population decline and financial difficulties, leading him to issue an invitation to review policies and suggest adjustments. Ren Zeping's post was interpreted as a suggestion for current leaders to adopt a similar reflective approach to address economic challenges. However, Ren Zeping, who has often supported official policies, sparked broad discussion with this statement. In addition, the report mentioned that economists Gao Shanwen and Fu Peng were also banned after giving speeches or internal talks revealing the state of China's economy. The China Securities Association recently issued a notice demanding that securities firms strengthen control over public statements by their chief economists. This highlights the strict restrictions on open discussions about the economy, especially voices that reveal economic difficulties or policy issues. Analysts believe the current situation reflects the government's heightened sensitivity to critical speech, fearing that such voices could destabilize society and challenge the official narrative. News Report 2. According to the Liberty Times, the Taipei District Court held a session on the evening of December 26 to decide whether to continue the detention of Ko Wen-je, chairman of the Taiwan People's Party. No decision had been made as of the latest report. On the same day, the Taipei District Prosecutor's Office announced the indictment of Ko Wen-je and 9 others, with Ko facing charges of bribery, profiteering, embezzlement, and breach of trust. The prosecutors have requested a sentence of 28.5 years in prison for him. In addition, Shen Qingjing, chairman of the Weijin Group, has been indicted for profiteering and bribery, with prosecutors seeking a 17-year prison sentence for him. In court, Shen denied bribing Ko Wen-je, stating that he never gave Ko Wen-je even a single penny, and emphasized that he would never be foolish enough to bribe him with a check. Shen explained that his donations to the People's Party through company employees were political cash and business dealings, denying any involvement in profiteering or bribery. Similarly, former Taipei City Vice Mayor Peng Zhensheng is facing a 13-year sentence for profiteering. Peng admitted to the charges and requested the judge to consider his health condition and allow him to be released on bail. The Taipei District Prosecutor's Office also revealed that it is investigating a case involving People's Party members suspected of using the internet and social media influencers to sell campaign products for profit. Investigated individuals include Chen Zhihan, director of the People's Party Legislative Caucus, Taipei City Councilor Huang Jingyin, Deputy Secretary General Su Pu, and spokesperson Wu Yishuan. According to Taiwan's political party law, income from promotional materials sold by political parties should be considered political cash and must be fully reported. If any of these funds were transferred to personal accounts, legal liabilities may arise. Prosecutors have stated that if violations are confirmed, legal actions will be taken. News Report 3. Intense political battles are unfolding in South Korea over the nomination of Constitutional Court judges, a matter closely related to President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment case, further escalating tensions. December 27 will bring 2 key sessions that could determine the country's future political direction. President Yoon Suk-yeol declared martial law on December 3, triggering a national crisis. With unanimous support from the ruling and opposition parties, Prime Minister Han De-soo temporarily assumed presidential duties. As a technocrat, Han De-soo had worked under 5 previous presidents, spanning both conservative and liberal administrations. However, on December 26, the major opposition party, the Democratic Party, filed an impeachment motion against Han De-soo, accusing him of refusing to appoint judges to the Constitutional Court. The Democratic Party criticized Han for delaying the appointments, which hindered the processing of President Yoon's impeachment case. On the same day, the National Assembly passed a resolution to appoint 3 Constitutional Court judges, 2 recommended by the Democratic Party, Ma En and Zhang Gaixian, and 1 recommended by the ruling People Power Party, Cho Han-chang. However, most People Power Party lawmakers were absent from the vote, and Han De-soo stated that he would delay the appointments until an agreement was reached between the ruling and opposition parties. This decision directly led the Democratic Party to file the impeachment motion. On December 27, the National Assembly will vote on the impeachment motion. If passed, the finance minister will take over as acting president. On the same day, the Constitutional Court will begin hearings on President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment case. With the 3 newly appointed judges, the court will have 9 members. According to the Constitutional Court rules, at least 6 judges must agree for an impeachment to pass, making the positions of the new judges crucial to the outcome. Currently, the divide between the ruling and opposition parties over the judge appointments and impeachment issue is intensifying. This political struggle not only affects Yoon Suk-yeol's fate but could also reshape South Korea's political landscape. News Report 4. Japanese Foreign Minister Yoshimasa Hayashi visited China on December 25, where the 2 sides demonstrated a certain level of harmony in their talks, akin to celebrating Christmas together. However, during this sensitive time, a tweet from Xue Jian, the Chinese consul general in Osaka, sparked a public uproar. On December 24, Xue Jian posted a combative, wolf warrior-style comment on Twitter, harshly criticizing a Japanese scholar who had been working in China for a long time. The scholar, who claimed to teach comparative culture at a university in Sichuan and had lived in China for 26 years, left a message on Xue's Twitter account on December 23, pointing out that even students from China's top universities seemed indifferent to the country's diverse culture. In response, Xue Jian quickly posted a lengthy rebuttal, accusing the scholar of having a typical colonial mentality. He wrote, "Many Japanese, especially intellectuals like you who have benefited from the colonial West, act smugly as if they are cultural figures." This statement stirred strong reactions online. The Japanese scholar replied again, refuting Xue Jian's views and comparing his mindset to that of late Qing officials, sarcastically suggesting that Xue couldn't understand foreigners' perceptions of the Qing dynasty. This exchange of sharp words cast a shadow over what was originally an attempt to showcase soft diplomacy between China and Japan. Although China and Japan sought to present a cooperative attitude during Hayashi's visit to China, such incidents undoubtedly add uncertainty to the relationship between the 2 countries. Personal remarks in diplomatic fields often have a subtle impact on the atmosphere of dialogue between nations, and this incident is a typical example. News Report 5. On December 26, People's Daily published a signed editorial on its international page 14, titled China and the U.S. Should expand the cooperation list and make the cooperation cake bigger, by the pen name Zhongsheng, representing China's voice. The article signals China's willingness to strengthen cooperation with the U.S., using a notably friendly tone. Zhongsheng is a pseudonym used by People's Daily's official commentators. The article mentions that both countries can achieve mutual benefit and win-win results through cooperation, and each country should view the other's success as an opportunity rather than a challenge. It also recalls many positive historical moments in Sino-US relations, such as ping-pong diplomacy, which is seen as a friendly gesture from China. The publication of this editorial is in line with recent positive signals from Chinese state media regarding Sino-US relations. Both Global Times and People's Daily have recently published similar content, suggesting that China is looking to ease tensions with the U.S. Additionally, Chinese President Xi Jinping's recent gestures towards the U.S. have also been interpreted as a sign of goodwill. However, this friendly tone contrasts sharply with the hardline rhetoric of some Chinese diplomats. For example, the controversial tweet by China's consul general in Osaka, Xue Jian, which was considered too harsh and inconsistent with the overall friendly tone, raised questions about China's intentions in its relations with the U.S. It also made China's diplomatic policy appear to oscillate between friendliness and toughness. With former U.S. President Donald Trump likely returning to office, the future trajectory of U.S. policy towards China is closely watched. Whether China is trying to create space for adjusting Sino-U.S. relations by sending goodwill signals remains to be seen. However, the swift shift in tone raises questions about whether some officials and the public will be able to adjust to this change. News Report 6. According to Deutsche Welle, as China's economy continues to struggle, the number of fraud cases has increased. One such scam, called the Self-Discipline Challenge, has spread quickly on the short video platform Douyin, TikTok, and attracted considerable attention. The Self-Discipline Challenge appears to be a high-stakes competition, where participants are required to pay thousands of yuan as a registration fee. They are then confined to a hotel room, isolated from the outside world, and must strictly follow a series of rules. According to the promotional materials, those who adhere to the rules for a set period would win hundreds of thousands or even millions of yuan in prize money. However, this is a carefully crafted scam. The core of the scam lies in the fact that while the rules appear simple, they are actually extremely difficult to follow. For example, participants are required to use electronic devices only at fixed times, and their phones can only have alarms set twice a day, bathroom breaks cannot exceed 15 minutes, and there are numerous other meticulous details that are hard to comply with. Many people, hoping for a reward, participate but ultimately fail to meet the criteria, and their registration fees are lost. The scam uses the lure of high prizes to attract participants, but the strictness of the rules makes success nearly impossible. It is essentially a money trap. The report urges the public to be cautious and avoid falling for such high-return challenges. News Report 7. According to Legal Daily, a case in Yancheng, Jiangsu Province, has sparked widespread public attention. A farmer named Chen Guangfang was fined 100,000 yuan for selling lamb without proper quarantine certification. Chen sold lamb at a market in Dafeng District, Yancheng, earning 180 yuan in profit, but was fined by the local Market Supervision Bureau for failing to provide the necessary quarantine certificates. Chen has filed a lawsuit against the bureau. The Yancheng Intermediate People's Court heard the case on December 24. During the hearing, inspection reports showed that the lamb sold by Chen passed quarantine tests and met all requirements. Additionally, Chen presented a statement from the village committee and the market, explaining his family situation, including that his elderly relative had terminal cancer, and he requested that the bureau consider these factors. He also promised to comply with regulations in the future. Despite this, the Market Supervision Bureau upheld the 100,000 yuan fine. The case has sparked strong reactions online. Many netizens expressed dissatisfaction, feeling that local governments are too harsh in their enforcement of laws and disregard the actual difficulties faced by ordinary people. Some commented, grassroots governments have become cold and indifferent, ignoring the lives of the common people. Suing is the right thing to do to raise awareness of this issue. The case is still under further review, and the public eagerly awaits the final judgment. News Report 8. According to Japan's Kyodo News, a recently declassified diplomatic document from December 26, 2023, reveals that former Japanese Prime Minister Kiichi Miyazawa made an accurate prediction about China's future direction over 30 years ago. In April 1993, during a meeting with U.S. President Bill Clinton in Washington, Miyazawa pointed out that although China's economy was still relatively underdeveloped at the time, it would experience an economic leap forward and might exhibit clear military ambitions. He also predicted that the Chinese Communist Party would not lead China toward democratization. This statement seemed particularly forward-thinking in the international context at the time. Japan's economy was at its peak, and Sino-Japanese relations were relatively stable due to the emperor's visit to China. However, Miyazawa had already expressed concern about China's military expansion, a view that was rare at the time. The declassification of these documents has sparked widespread discussion about Miyazawa's foresight. Many analysts believe his view aligns with China's current international position and strategic direction. This foresight also reflects Japan's heightened awareness of regional security after the Cold War. The publication of this historical record provides a new perspective on current Sino-Japanese relations and has prompted renewed reflection on Japan's policies concerning regional security. News Report 9. On the morning of December 26, Japan Airlines, JAL, announced that its network was hit by a distributed denial of service, DDoS, attack around 7:30 a.m. This attack method involves controlling a large number of infected computers, commonly known as zombies, to make frequent requests to a target server, resulting in network congestion and system failure. The attack caused malfunctions in JAL's baggage handling and passenger check-in systems. The systems were restored to normal by 2 p.m., likely due to repairs after the attack ceased. The impact of the incident included 2 domestic flights being grounded, 53 domestic flights delayed, and 11 international flights delayed, with the longest delay being 4 hours. Regarding the source of the hacking attack, analysts point to China, Russia, and North Korea as the main countries behind international cyber attacks. North Korea is typically involved in stealing Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, while China and Russia focus more on intelligence gathering and cyber interference with adversary nations. These activities usually exhibit clear state support characteristics. The attack has led to heightened concern in Japan about national cybersecurity. In 2020, Japan's defense network was targeted by Chinese hackers, leading to the leak of information about Japan's military capabilities. Following that, Japan's government formulated a new cybersecurity strategy in 2021 to combat network threats from China, Russia, and North Korea. Experts note that DDoS attacks and intelligence theft can, in some cases, be seen as a form of gray warfare between nations, similar to traditional military actions. However, the international response to such incidents typically focuses more on diplomatic and defensive measures rather than formal declarations of war. The JAL incident once again highlights the importance of cybersecurity and serves as a new warning on how to prevent and respond to cyber threats. News Report 10. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the results of the 5th National Economic Census, released on December 26, show significant changes in China's economic structure in recent years. In the financial sector, the number of legal entities decreased by 22% compared to 2018, with employment dropping by 30%. The real estate industry also saw a 27% decrease in employment. Meanwhile, the manufacturing industry has experienced substantial growth since 2018, with employment increasing by 24%. The government has evidently increased its support for manufacturing, while the financial and real estate sectors face significant pressures. Additionally, the National Bureau of Statistics adjusted its GDP data for 2023, with the revised GDP totaling 129.129 trillion yuan, an increase of 3.36 trillion yuan, representing a 2.7% rise. Although the total GDP was raised, the revised economic growth rate and related details were not fully disclosed. In recent years, the Chinese government has explicitly promoted high-quality development, particularly through supporting manufacturing to reduce dependence on the real estate and financial sectors. These figures suggest that the policy effects are becoming visible, but also reflect the growing pains of the adjustments in finance and real estate. The continued slump in the real estate sector is closely tied to the government's stricter regulations and efforts to curb speculative practices. Adjusting GDP data is not uncommon, especially after an economic census. However, this revision may have deeper policy considerations, such as providing a basis for setting 2024's economic growth targets or optimizing fiscal policies. The revision is widely seen as supporting future policy actions, such as boosting the government's economic performance in both domestic and international arenas, or providing statistical support for measures like investment expansion and debt management. If the data adjustment is used to back higher economic targets, it could lead local governments to implement more aggressive economic stimulus measures in 2024, including infrastructure investments and manufacturing subsidies. Specific details on the economic growth data or policy directions have yet to be disclosed, and any further changes should be closely monitored. News Report 11. According to data from the Hong Kong Immigration Department, between December 20th and 25th, a total of 7.02 million entries and exits were recorded in Hong Kong, a 32.3% year-on-year increase. Of these, 2.66 million Hong Kong residents left the city, far exceeding the number of visitors from mainland China. Hong Kong residents' spending abroad was nearly 3 times that of mainland tourists spending in Hong Kong. This phenomenon reflects the sluggish local consumption in Hong Kong, as many residents chose to travel abroad rather than spend locally. The president of the Hong Kong Jewelry Manufacturers Association stated that despite a 10% year-on-year increase in foot traffic during the Christmas period, the average spending per customer declined, resulting in business performance that was not much different from previous years. On the other hand, some pharmacy owners noted that most of the customers during this period were first-time mainland Chinese tourists, and their arrival boosted sales by about 20%. This situation indicates that although the number of inbound tourists to Hong Kong has risen, local consumption has been affected by Hong Kong residents traveling abroad. Meanwhile, tourists from mainland China have become a driving force behind sales growth in certain sectors. News Report 12. According to Radio Hong Kong, monitoring data from the Hong Kong Center for Health Protection showed that 4 new cases of COVID-19 were reported in a local nursing home last week, affecting elderly residents. Additionally, there were 4 reported cases of influenza, 3 of which resulted in fatalities, all of which were elderly individuals over 50. The simultaneous outbreak of both flu and COVID-19 cases has placed a strain on public health in Hong Kong. Furthermore, 2 outbreaks of influenza occurred at a secondary school and a nursing home, affecting a total of 10 individuals. Family doctors in Hong Kong noted a significant increase in patients seeking treatment for influenza recently, speculating that many Hong Kong residents may have contracted the flu while traveling abroad and subsequently brought the virus back to Hong Kong, leading to the flu outbreaks. News Report 13. According to the Wall Street Journal, about 30% of the mortgage bills for single-family homes in the U.S. go toward property taxes and homeowners insurance, the highest proportion since 2014. For example, in cities such as Syracuse and Rochester in New York, Omaha in Nebraska, and California, 25% of mortgage borrowers spend around 50% of their monthly mortgage bill on property taxes and insurance. The report mentions that rising costs due to natural disasters and home maintenance have driven up insurance premiums, while increasing home prices have led to higher property taxes. As a result, many homeowners are struggling with such a high proportion of expenses. News Report 14. The World Journal reports that 2 incidents of injury occurred in New York City during the Christmas holiday period. The first took place on the afternoon of December 25 when a taxi lost control on the sidewalk in front of Macy's at Herald Square in Manhattan, injuring 6 people. Preliminary investigations indicate that the accident was caused by the taxi driver's illness. The second incident occurred on Christmas Eve, December 24, at the subway station in Manhattan's Grand Central Terminal, where a man with a knife stabbed a male and a female passenger. Police arrived at the station and successfully arrested the suspect in the terminal's main hall. News Report 15. CCTV reports that Eastern Airlines announced that, starting January 1, 2024, it will operate flights using China's domestically produced C919 aircraft from Shanghai Hongqiao Airport to Hong Kong. This marks the first commercial flight abroad using the C919. Eastern Airlines stated that there will be 1 daily flight to Hong Kong with flight numbers MU721 and MU722. On the first day of service, the one-way economy class ticket from Shanghai Hongqiao to Hong Kong will cost 2,203 yuan. The report suggests avoiding flying on this aircraft. News Report 16. CCTV reports that the police in Fuzhou recently filed a lawsuit against Liu Yuejin, a former senior counterterrorism expert at the Ministry of Public Security, for alleged bribery. Liu Yuejin had long served in Tianjin and joined the Ministry of Public Security in 2000. Under the mentorship of Minister Meng Jianzhu, Liu became the head of the Counterterrorism Bureau of the Ministry of Public Security, with a close relationship between them. In 2015, Liu became the first counterterrorism commissioner of the ministry and retired in 2018. Despite his retirement, Liu could not escape investigation, reflecting that even retired officials may face legal accountability. News Report 17. Kyodo News reports that Japan's Imperial Database released a survey on December 26 showing that food prices in Japan are set to rise in 2024, with prices of 12,520 types of food increasing, and the rate of increase is gradually accelerating. The price increase for Japanese food in 2022 was 17%, higher than the 15% rise last year. The largest price increases were seen in processed foods like boxed rice, due to this year's rice shortage. The shortage is attributed to increased demand from a surge in tourism, which led to a lack of rice supply, causing the price of rice to rise. In addition, the prices of imported alcoholic beverages and chocolates also rose, mainly due to the depreciation of the yen, which increased import costs. Another significant factor contributing to the price rise is the increase in labor and logistics costs. In 2023, logistics fees in Japan rose by 68%, and labor costs increased by 26.5%. It is expected that from January to April next year, the prices of over 6,000 types of food will rise further, with an expected increase of 18%, surpassing this year's levels. News Report 18. Asian Radio reports that China has recently launched a low-cost United Front program targeting Taiwanese youth. These tour groups invite young people from Taiwan to visit mainland China at very low prices, with primary destinations including regions with ethnic minorities like Xinjiang. The tour fees are typically 24,000 new Taiwan dollars, about 50% of the usual market price. Over the past few years, thousands of students from dozens of universities in Taiwan have participated in these low-cost tours. The affordable fees give participants the impression that they are traveling for very little money, but there may be hidden political motives behind these trips, especially as part of the United Front strategy. The report advises Taiwanese youth to be cautious about participating in such activities to avoid being misled or exploited.